So, where were we? What was going on? Let's see.
I
We go ahead.
I remember we had some kind of like trooper that did not like us being going ahead of the group, but I think we somehow
Right.
got ahead of him.
So you were searching for you were searching through the woods for oh yeah, you had a vision. Someone disappeared in the woods. See if I can find my notes. This is not where I'm supposed to be. So
I tried to talk to a bird and could not talk to a bird. Amanda
yeah.
could talk to a bird.
Amanda talked to squirrels.
Oh, did she talk to squirrels? I thought she talked to a
Yeah,
bird.
Mm.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
she
right.
Because the squirrels were obsessed with
Uh-huh.
nuts.
Right.
and you rolled really bad on that that bird check, so
Yeah.
that's still hanging over your head. So yeah, State Park
Anyways,
north
we were
of
just talking about
Fay.
90s cartoons.
You're in a state park north of Fayview, near Fayfield, near the mountains where the tree line had just gone into a more coniferous, basically a pine forest. Um, Romeo. Oh
Oh,
yeah,
I was like, what the hell are you writing at?
Fayfield.
I love it.
Thank you. I don't even know the name of this place anymore. um, so it's autumn. Oh, no, it's something different. It is autumn. Romeo. No, it's still summer. Romeo. Okay, yeah, you had talked to Romeo to. Oh, you just gotten like the ruined jacket for Horace, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
wanted that.
hmm
Why had we gone to Romeo to begin with? There was an actual reason. What was it?
Um,
The punch.
Training.
Amanda was. We were trying to look up. Hannah wanted to find someone who would train me to actually, like, change into things without turning into a
Right.
naked guy.
Or other
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. Okay, so that happened. You went to his pawn shop, the Shiny Penny, on the western side of Fayfield. Had to read it.
Oh, that's why you wrote it down.
Yeah. The you met him, headed out. He was surprised to see Hannah. And earlier, oh yeah, this was on your way to the forest because Chuck had a vision of someone in the woods in the dark. A lot of reflections of them.
Of
Something
myself.
out of yourself. Yeah,
In the
yourself as
vision, I saw
him.
myself. Yeah, but I saw it as like multiple. Like I don't remember if you said three or was it like six or some, or maybe no number was specified.
Yeah,
Can
But
I
it was
just read you
multiple.
some of my notes from last session?
sure. That would be useful actually.
Mm,
Because that's basically what I was
yeah.
doing. I was reading my notes trying to figure out what I was trying to say.
Yeah. So some of this is specific to Hannah, so I don't know if I need to read that. But basically, what is the relationship between Hannah's parents and Maxwell? Um, Hannah's on non-speaking terms with her family. Why does she live in the museum? Or is her living there a result of something she chose to do that alienated her from her family? And then it
Right.
just says Fayfield in big letters, our weird city, right
Yes.
here.
So I remember that was an issue
And
last week
then
too. We kept getting that wrong.
and then it says Romeo, owner of the Shiny Penny Pawn Shop. He is a Fey to human world advocate or farrier, so that's kind of his side hustle, I'm guessing. He's some kind of Fey as well. We haven't. I don't think we've established what kind.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
he's
we
basically like Autumn Court, but he's more independent. He's kind of an independent Fey. He's not necessarily totally politically connected with any specifics because he
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 acts as
intermediates
like a
them.
liaison kind of thing too.
Yeah.
So one of the other things, I just have a subhead category called camp. I don't know what that means, so maybe it's camping gear. There's a first aid kit, which I have a note that just says Chuck next to it. We've got 3 flashlights, 3 flares, and 3 bear sprays. So I think we
Yeah.
divided all of that up between us.
Hannah was almost skipping
Um,
off to the camping trip. Yep, I remember that.
mhm.
Maybe not literally, but mentally.
Let's see. And then the rest of my notes are mostly just magic stuff, looks like.
Yeah.
So
The
yeah,
first
that's
parts of your
all.
notes were definitely like I just asked that question. I was curious about the relationship with
Right.
their parents and the museum and the order and all of that. But that was a more forward-thinking thing to think about.
Hmm.
Okay.
It's just in case there was
Right. No.
something in there that. Well,
No, it's good. It's good to remind me because now
actually,
I
need
remember
to
I need to be
grab a
thinking of that.
pen. I have no pens.
All right. So
Okay.
you'd headed out into the woods. Like you said, Horace had tried his best to speak to the birds, and while he didn't seem to be getting his point across, he had no idea how to do that. He tried to do interpretive dance, and that didn't work out so well. But he did actually. I don't know if he had really thought about it yet or not, but he understood what they were trying to convey. Ignore that. No, that's a failure. I'm not ignoring that. Even though it's a 1d6, I'm counting it as a failure.
What just
um,
happened?
just a random roll that didn't matter.
I was playing with Roll20 and didn't realize I was actually going to roll something.
Nice.
So then you headed out into the woods. You were I can't remember what you found. Shoot, you were doing search. You searched and you tried to find some things. You had ended up
Oh,
figuring out. Oh
I
yeah,
found the guys in the search party.
right. So first when you came up, you saw the vehicles. Then as you were going out and looking, two things had happened. I don't remember which order they happened, but at one point Hannah had spoken with some squirrels. They told you that there was a many-legged bear out there
Right.
hunting, or a new hunter, right? And I think separately, Horace had coming back in as he changed shape, crossed a line of officers and rangers who were forming like a search line, and he talked to
Right.
them and convinced them. Did you immediately convince them? I think you talked to them twice, right? The first one that you talked to, you
I
convinced.
pretty much, I think I immediately convinced them because I know I used my magic like
You
charm
convinced him to
thing.
give you the map, and then you went back to
Yeah.
where Chuck and Hannah were, and then all three of you went back towards there, and you found a different spot in the line, not the same people, and
Hmm.
you convinced them because you had the map that you were um,
Oh, okay.
part of some group that was searching for them. I can't remember who you said you were.
I was almost like in between the real and dream worlds at that point, so I don't really remember anything from.
Yeah,
Uh,
I really wish. Yeah. So something happened, things happened, and you ended up being part of the search party, and you were just moving along with them as they searched. And there was a spot that. Let me think about this. So as they were searching, just recently, there were gunshots that had just happened.
mhm.
They had an idea. Someone had shown you the spot where they think that they had the spot where the kids who were out there had said that they were, and from their description that they had an area that they thought was the spots that the kids actually were, and they were forming a net around that and closing in on that spot just so that if anything had moved out of that, they would kind of catch that and move in. But they hadn't got to that point yet. And rather than going straight to that spot, you were going with the line as it advanced, correct?
Hmm.
Okay, so they just kind of let you work your way into that, and I think at this point we were doing that. You were following the line. I don't think you had any holds left. I know that there was a uh, investigate a mystery roll that most of this was the result of. I really can never do this unprepared. I have to know what's going on before moving into this. Um,
You know what? We can just BS our way through it. It's fine.
that's what I.
Yeah.
Well, that's totally what I'm doing. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So, like,
So
can we
yeah,
who?
you're gonna make it back up.
Yeah,
Okay.
eventually. I don't know. Can you see me? Can you hear me fine?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Okay. I just have a lot of pressure in my sinuses. Actually,
No,
leaning back helps a lot.
understood. I just saw you going back. I was like, are you gonna be able to make it back up? That looks comfortable.
It's
think I just stay
extremely
there.
comfortable, actually. So I was gonna say, so what's our goal right now? We're looking for somebody who's missing.
Yeah, so there was the initial person who was missing for sure, and there's also apparently an officer who went missing. They said that he was reporting in. They tried to get a hold of him. They heard gunshots and haven't been able to identify him, or they haven't been able to get a hold of him since then. So at this point, there may be 2 missing people,
Ah,
and they
okay.
couldn't tell where the gunshots came from because it's just the way the echo worked. They couldn't really tell, but they know that he was heading in towards he was heading in alone towards the area where the teens had reported to see if there was anything there that he could see individually. Yeah, so I think you were just going along the line. I don't know if you were doing something specific other than just looking for any signs of either of them.
Okay.
Okay. So
Did Hannah communicate with the birds? Because she did have. I remember doing something about that.
She did not. Only with the
Maybe.
squirrels,
Oh, I talked to squirrels, right?
right? Oh,
And
and then at the very end of that, Chuck's dog. Oh, he was here helping. He's running around, kind of barking halfway. He had chased
oh,
the tree. Of
sorry, I
course.
had a brief confusion with Chuck's dog and Andrew's dog. I was like,
Ah, right. I consider them the same. Andrew's dog is just another one of our PCs. All right, so I guess I will just go with what do you do?
So I think the thing I want to do is break off, sort of from the group a little bit to sort of out of sight and turn into a coyote, and then I can try and sniff out and like pick up a scent trail.
Okay. So let's see. It's not going to be too hard. Well, you're kind of in a line, so you'll have to make an excuse
Mhm.
as to why you're breaking away, but that's fine. And then, so let me know how you do that, and then we can do that.
Gotta pee.
Okay. So I assume the 3 of you are kind of next to each other, or did you have like interspaced with some of the
I think we
rangers?
stuck together. Yeah.
Okay, so they just open up a
Closest to
pretty
each
wide gap for the 3 of you to fit in, and you started
Right,
the search
and
because you convinced them that you were some authority figures from somewhere that was part of the search.
I'm sure, like, because there's 3 of us, we make up a big portion of the line. So if one of them kind of slips away, we can kind of just fill the space.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I think that's what we do. Is we just kind of cover for Horace.
Right. Okay. So yep, you let them know you got to do that, and do you head back away or into the circle?
And in
Um,
a circle.
Probably into the circle, I guess,
Okay.
Yeah.
because I don't want to cross back over it if I'm moving. And I guess I can do a weird roll here and for my transformation.
How far you go just out of visual range? So you work your
Yeah,
way
yeah.
up through the forest. It's a pretty. It's not like there's not a lot of underbrush. Like I said, it's a pine forest, so it's mostly just pine needles. As you're going, you're kind of looking at the ground, seeing if you notice anything, just so that you don't disturb something that's important. And once you get out of sight, you go to transform, and
And I do that quite well.
amazingly well. Everything goes perfectly. So you're just trotting forward, and then down on all fours immediately. Your pads, your feet touching the pine forest. The strong scent of pine sap just fills your nose. It's so accurate. It's almost painful. But
Okay.
you adapt to that pretty quickly.
And so when I'm in an animal shape, I get +1 to investigate a mystery, or one forward to investigate a mystery. So, yeah, that's +1 on investigate a mystery.
If you're
right?
using the features of that form to do so. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what are you
yeah.
doing?
So so I'm basically trying to sniff out and find. This would have helped if I'd had something to actually smell. Like if I was actually smelling for a specific person. But I guess I'm just trying to pick up a trail to see if any humans have come this way recently.
Okay.
People come this way recently, and let's see.
Can I help out in that by having my pet Bobo?
Your pet
Smell
doesn't
and
really get
see if
along
he can
with me
help
very
catch
well.
Yeah, your pet is not going to help him do this. If anything, it's going to like just be charging him as he does it.
But it follows my directions, right? Never
To
mind.
an
Doesn't
extent, but
matter.
it's its own thing. It's not going to blindly do things it would never do naturally
Oh, I
just at
thought
your
he rolled.
command. Yeah, you can try to tell it to, but
Well, that's the whole thing. Is if I roll well, then he can help out, right? If he doesn't roll well, then there's a complication.
essentially.
I thought he rolled the 13 again, but that was his old roll.
Yeah.
And we haven't really established an intelligence level for it. I don't know how clearly you can communicate with it. I don't know if you can give it very specific directions or if you can kind of give it the gist of what you're wanting. But
That's what the roll would determine, right?
essentially, yeah.
So if I roll poorly, then I say go help, and he just looks at me going, "What are you talking about?" Right?
Yeah, you can try it, but I'm going to say that's going to be a -1 just for the inclination of that dog not to work with Horus in any way.
And what is help out? Cool. I'm pretty cool.
I wanted you to roll links with Horus, but that's not going to work.
Yeah, right.
Help out. Is it cool? Okay, yeah, it's cool.
I can't even change into a lynx.
Not yet. Theoretically, I guess you could work at that.
If you didn't give me that -1, it would have been perfect communication.
Yep. So good thing I gave you the -1.
Partial
Okay.
success.
So that's a help out, and here that just means it grants them a +1, but you expose yourself to trouble or danger. Okay. Alright, so as you transform, Horus, and you start sniffing around, you pick up the scent of like sulfuric brimstone as you're sniffing. It's actually kind of almost distracting. But how do you react to that, and also do your actual roll, and we'll figure out what.
Okay. So
Makes sense.
I didn't add the +1 from Chuck, so that's an 8. But
Right.
Still a mixed success.
So
yeah.
So you have 1 hold.
Okay. Let me actually open up my playbooks that I have not had open. Let's see. Investigate a mystery. Okay. Oh, so I did smell something sulfuric. All right. I guess I'm going to have to go with where did it go?
Okay.
Like, that makes the most sense in terms of me smelling something.
Where did the smell go?
Yeah.
So you're smelling for humans. So you're looking for where the human that you're trying to find, or whatever human you happen to scent, went. Okay.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so there are better questions to ask in that list, but like the one that's most appropriate is, where did the humans go?
Okay. So as you're smelling, you realize, well, Chuck, how do you get your dog to help?
I just basically say go with Horus and try to help him find what he's looking for. Now, whether he understands that was a different story. Obviously,
Right.
he partially understands that.
When you say that, he does kind of leap off into the woods in the front, and one of the officers to your right. You're on the kind of left side of this, and then Hannah's next to you, and Horus was in the spot to the right of that. Hannah kind of filtered over to the right as Horus moved in, and then after he was just a little out of sight, you nod forward and have your dog follow him, and as you do that, he looks up at you, looks forward, and he just leaps and starts running into the woods, and he runs out of sight as well. Horus, as you transform and start sniffing, you hear something running up behind you, and you smell the smell of like brimstone, and or more that that kind of eggy sulfuric smell, and you realize that is the thing that's running up behind you, and the dog at first he runs up next to you. He's still looking fuzzy. He looks like a friendly dog right now. I don't know if he has a name yet. Does he have a name?
Hobo.
Hobo.
All right. Hobo runs up behind you. He kind of gives you a look, locks eyes. I don't know if you meet that or not, but he tries to lock eyes, gives you a little snarl, but then sniffs around while you're also sniffing. So he's not really with you, but he's kind of covering areas that you're not necessarily covering. So the two of you are covering larger area. Eventually, you catch wind of something that smells vaguely like the other humans. You recognize certain smells from humans, like you're still getting used to this, but you recognize some of the artificial smells, like the smells of soap and the smells of sweat, and the smells, that's not artificial obviously, but the smells of deodorant covering sweat, and you kind of get a sense of this. And it's basically heading out towards where this circle is slowly converging on. As you're smelling, you come across a few spots in the pine cover on the floor that are pushed across, like there was a disturbance that came through. Could have been human feet, could have been deer, but you don't smell deer on this particular path. You do smell the smells of humans, so you assume that was probably someone who came through this way and was heading basically similar to the direction that you're heading.
Okay. All right. So now, how do I actually communicate this? So I guess I don't know anything. I don't really know anything about Chuck and his dog at this point. So even if they had a method of communicating, I'm not sure I would even know about it.
And we've already established how good your communications with animals is so far.
Right.
Nice.
Let's see. So I know. So I've got the general direction that they've been going in.
It sort of validates the sense of direction you got from the map. I'm just making the assumption that you're keeping your trail sense to some extent, so you can kind of tell the direction that's there, and you're kind of overlaying that with the map mentally, and it does basically confirm that. You don't know exactly who it was. It could have been the officer, it could have been the kids, it could have been something else, but whatever this was went that way.
Okay. All right. Let's. I'm going to try. Okay. So I'm going to turn into a bird then, or maybe I am. Yes, I'm going to turn into a bird. I'm going to fly back to the circle, land in front of Chuck and Hannah, and sort of. Let's see. Land in front of them and get their attention, but flap my wings. I don't know.
You don't need to do that to get my attention. I think Hannah's very aware of you in your bird form.
Well, it could just be a bird. Like, you don't know. Right?
No bird acts like the way you're acting right now.
Given her history with shapeshifters of various types, she can probably kind of get the sense that you're not just a typical bird. So yeah. Either way, yes, a big bird just comes and lands in front of you, starts dancing in the pine leaves.
Yeah.
Like Horace likes to communicate through dance. It's a perfectly legitimate life choice.
Oh yeah, it's like his thing.
I really want to just envision a crow doing that, like a rocket dance right here, or a Russian type.
Doing the Dougie. I've been playing a lot of Yakuza 0 actually, so that's what I'm picturing is when he gets into the disco. It's like.
Haven't seen it, but I can imagine. What do you guys do?
I'm not sure you can actually, but it's
Probably
it's
not.
unique.
I am imagining. I just doubt it's what you're thinking.
Anyways, so I'm just going to try and guide them forward, in the direction that these kids were hiking.
Okay. Your dog comes running, and Chuck Hobo comes running out of the woods back towards you, and he comes back to your side, and he kind of gives a little yelp, and then like a bark, and you kind of get the feeling that just means he didn't find anything more. But yeah, this direction is. I mean, you're heading the right way, basically. Do you just stick with the line?
I feel like we have to move in front of them because if the line gets to whatever this is, we could be dealing with another school incident.
Right. So I think that how can we get ahead of them without them seeing us? I think that
So, what about getting Horace to go behind the line, transform back, and then start yelling like he found something, and then transform back into a bird, and then we go ahead, and they're all going to go the wrong way.
That's pretty cunning. I think that... Is this Chuck's idea?
Sure.
Whoa, one sec.
Chuck likes to come up with really weird ideas that don't always work. Usually don't work.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So how do you communicate that, Chuck?
So Horace is in front of me as a bird right now.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll
say, hey, Horace, if you go back like a quarter mile and transform back, yell to them saying you found something. And maybe they'll all turn around and then we'll get the lead on them and be able to get to this creature first.
I'm sorry, as a bird, I only understand the language of dance.
No. He says that with his human voice and his bird form.
Chuck then starts dancing with one of his fingers. It goes up and down, up and down. More like one in the center of his hand.
Horace just does bird cocking ahead of everything, and then flies off back behind you to implement your plan.
All right.
So I'm gonna go do another weird roll to transform. They're getting lower and lower. I gotta warn you.
It'll be funny if you can't transform back.
I think that's...
If you keep making that face, it's gonna get stuck like that.
Okay. So he transforms about a quarter of a mile back down, back behind the line.
Within 11. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Does he do anything before he yells out? Let's see. Yeah, actually, I think he does. I think he's going to sort of roll up the pants leg. Roll up the pants leg. He's still got his knife, his ceramic knife, I guess. Actually, I don't know if we've established if that can go with him or not. I forgot.
It can if you transform properly.
Okay. Yeah, so he pulls that out, kind of slashes his leg a little bit, wipes wipes the blood on a bunch of leaves, and then rolls his pants leg back down and calls out to the line. Hey, over here!
You're planting false evidence at
Yeah.
the scene of a
Good.
crime.
So the
Rock
Just-
on.
just to make sure I have it clear, you're not trying to show your wound. You're just trying to show the blood. So your wound
Yeah,
is pretty
yeah.
superficial, correct?
Right. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe actually, you know what else I can do here is I can take off my own shirt, wipe some blood on, tear that, wipe some blood on that, and like leave it, just leave it.
No,
So Horace-
the blood drip is explainable because you can say, "Oh, I found the blood," and if they find out it's yours, you can always just be like, "Oh, I didn't realize I cut my leg. I found my own blood." You could just play
Yeah.
dumb.
How did my shirt fall off? Oh my.
Yeah,
I was
that's a
thinking
little
more-
hard.
I was just out in the woods. I, tore my shirt. Just left it there. Got scraped up a little bit.
I,
like
I was
the
thinking
makings
more
of
you
a bad
transform
movie.
back to a bird and fly back before they get to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Is it illegal to take my clothes off in the woods? My shirt off in the woods?
I guess
So-
technically you're private, so
Yeah.
Yeah, but shirt off's probably even then still legal, right?
Right.
Horse
be,
is done
just-
worse.
weird. And a little itchy because woods tend to have bugs.
Well, he has his jacket still, right?
That's true.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right.
So,
Okay, so
all right.
roll
But this will be
a-
the absolute best time for me to fail this roll. Yes. Oh wait,
Not a
no,
failure,
it's
at least.
Yeah.
Which so this was transforming from what?
into a bird.
Okay,
yeah.
back to a bird. All right,
Yeah, back to
so
a bird.
you might just leave your shirt there anyway.
I leave my wallet.
It might be the knife got left behind.
Okay.
Let's see. So what do you have? You have your clothes. You have your knife. You have your
Bear spray, it says. Though I'm not sure if I kept that. I feel like I kept dropping that. But
I thought you,
I think
you
you-
gave it to Chuck, and then Chuck
Yeah.
gave it back to you as soon as you
Yeah.
transformed back once.
yeah.
He was
Okay.
like, I don't want this.
All right. So well, you're transforming into a bird, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so so you came out here, you transformed from a bird into a human, and you put blood there. What do you call out?
I just, hey, over here. I found something.
All right, roll a manipulate someone on that.
Okay.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, so you guys, you hear from behind you, you hear Horace yelling. Did you hear something?
So-
Charm. Oh, that's not my skill. Sorry, I'm not going to help out with that. I can only make things worse.
Yeah, so, well, yeah, I would make things worse too. It's -1.
Same.
Yeah, I didn't use my unnatural heal on that because I don't think that works unless I'm like near someone or can see them directly or
Okay, so yours is more visual
close to
based
them.
for the unnatural.
yeah,
being?
I think so.
Can't just do it through
Or
voice,
just I think yeah, just location based. Like I feel like I have to at least be able to see them or,
Okay.
or know they're there, know who they are.
All right.
Sorry to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Did we get a chance to heal up between sessions? I have a lot of damage for some reason.
You're in a
Yeah,
wheelchair.
you were in the hospital. You were in the hospital for
Yeah.
like a week, so yeah, you had time to heal.
Fully
Everyone
heal,
should
yeah.
be at this point, I think. Unless something happened in the last session that I can't remember, I think everyone's fully
Yeah.
healed.
I think we're fine. Okay, yeah. I just
I mean,
wanted
Chuck
to make
probably
sure.
died for some reason. I don't even know why, but other than that,
I'm in a new body since the last time I got hurt.
Chuck probably
so.
died again, so you know.
yeah, you probably just want to see what would happen if you walked off the top of a 10-story building or something. I don't know. Okay, so You roll the so no one's helping. So to be clear, the help out isn't necessarily. It doesn't mean that you're going to make it worse. All it means is that you would expose yourself to danger, as well.
Right.
If
I'm already
he fails.
exposed to danger.
I mean,
But if he succeeds, there's no danger to expose to, so it doesn't happen
Well,
anyway. But
what would the help out be? A cool in this case? Because she said
It's-
charmed, and
it's charm, yeah.
the help out is cool, yes.
help out's cool. So
Oh,
I don't
help
mind.
out.
I don't mind yelling out something along the lines of,
Hey guys, I think I just heard something behind us. Someone's calling it.
Okay. And roll a help out for that.
this time I don't have the -1 though, right?
Yep.
Not
Okay,
much better.
so yeah, so that gives you actually a 10 with that roll. So to manipulate someone's a 10 plus, then they'll do it for the reason you gave them, and basically the reason you're giving them is you found something. So, all right. So as you hear that call, you see Chuck. You see the officer to your left kind of perk his head up and turn it to kind of get a bearing on where that's coming from. And then, as you point out that you heard it too, and point to the direction he says, he turns and faces it, hears the echoes, and he turns to his left and says something to the ranger next to him, and they both agree that they're gonna head back and check that out. So they, like the two to your left, and also whoever's to your right, Hannah. All three of them are going to head back that direction and check out where Horace is. And then there's probably other people in the line further out, but they're out of your sight line because you're kind of spaced to where you can only see the people like two to your left or right. That's about how far apart everyone is. Okay. At some point, they're probably going to close in so that doesn't... there's not too big of a gap for someone to slip through, but right now they assume that you're covering that area, so you're able to move forward well. And I think actually while they're heading back, they're going to send word down the line to pause the advance. Is that Chuck's dog or Andrew's dog back there? I keep seeing like tails wagging and
I mean, mine's been beside me. He just laid down.
all right, so the line is pausing, and the three that you can see immediately around you are heading back in the direction, back about a quarter mile behind where you already were, towards where Horace is. And then Horace, you trying to transform back into a bird. As you do that, you don't end up dropping anything, but as you're doing that, the blood is still on the plant, but you somehow disturb the area more than you necessarily should have, which may be a good thing, maybe a bad thing, but you weren't intending to have it disturbed as much as it is, so you end up kind of... Basically, the transform goes a little bad. It's a little awkward. So what does that look like?
Oh, okay. Let's see. So he's trying to turn into a crow. If it goes awkward. I think he turns into a crow with like really long legs, like almost like a stork, but a bird with just these big long dangly legs flying through the forest.
One of them has a nice big gash on it too, right?
So like you can't fly, you have to walk because your legs are too heavy.
I think he's able to fly, but what happens is, as he tries to take off at first, he kind of misjudges how long his legs are, and they catch, and he flops onto the ground, and kind of he's like hitting it, flapping, so he's pushing it, pine needles everywhere, and plants are getting knocked to the side before he finally gets his legs under him, pushes up, and is able to pull them up and take flight.
What is that Disney movie with the stork? The old oh yeah, with Dumbo.
Oh, right.
The
Dumbo.
stork from Dumbo. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Apparently
was picturing it, but I
there's-
couldn't think of the movie.
Yeah. Apparently there's some kind of horrific Disney movie that's CGI and all about storks. But
Oh,
or not
really?
Disney movie. I don't know. It looks terrible. But I'm thinking of Dumbo. Yeah. Remember that stork couldn't fly very well? It just crashed all over the place. That's
think
kind of
so.
what I was thinking.
Yeah. That's weird. I didn't even say Alexa and it popped up. Okay. So yeah, you're able to take flight. You come back. It was just a little awkward, and you potentially made a mess of that scene, but you think the blood is still there, so you're good.
Mhm.
Okay, so they head back, and the rest of the line pauses. What do you do?
I think that's Chuck and Hannah because I'm just gonna keep flying over them.
Yeah, you're flying
Weird
back.
legs. All.
It probably takes you a little bit to go that to a quarter mile. It's not an instantaneous flight, so it'll be like, how long would a bird take to fly a quarter mile? Like a minute?
Yeah, sure. What is that? That's
Probably less, but
Probably.
Like, it's
I've done
dead
absolutely
quick.
no math
Birds
on
are
it. I'm
quick.
just I'm completely spitballing it. So
yeah.
That's
probably.
fine. Just assume that is so.
like, even a coyote could do it pretty quick. Humans are slow.
So,
So we're
but-
trying to get ahead of this line, right?
obviously,
So I think as soon as everybody else is out of sight, we book it. Just like, yeah. So I think Hannah's plan is just like get into a crouch and run. Like just run far enough ahead that we can start scouting out for what we're actually looking for.
okay. All right, so
that's probably maybe an act under pressure.
for what? So you're basically just trying to move forward as quickly as possible. Is that
Yeah.
what's okay? So you're all just gonna
Yeah.
bolt through the woods towards the area you think you need to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
Then
just
yeah.
put a little bit more distance between us and the line, right? So
So yeah, I would do it. One of you roll an act under pressure, and the other do a help out, just to see as you're doing that, like make sure nothing crazy happens.
Which one do you want to do, Hannah?
I can't remember if I had a skill that allows me to do something other than cool.
For help out?
Yeah, or no.
Don't think so. Let's see, advanced arcane training could have been worse. That's magic. Enchanted clothing.
That's magic, yeah, okay.
Shield spell. Yeah, no. Not divine perk. What I need when I need it.
That was the item thing, yeah, okay.
Right. So no.
Getting my characters mixed up.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm going to do doesn't matter which one because it's a cool roll. I'm going to do act under pressure. Whew. Not good.
And
Do you want
Chuck?
me to describe it?
Yeah,
I
although
got
Chuck is.
first, right?
Oh,
I
you
might
did
get
help out
lucky and
too.
give you the one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
There you
nice.
go.
Damn.
So it's not as bad as it
Double
could have been.
sixes.
All right. So yeah, the two of you are running through, and something with Hannah probably. Yeah, you can describe that, but Chuck, you can kind of describe how between the two of you, Chuck actually helps keep you from doing something really bad.
Okay, so I think, Chuck, are you near me now? Did we like group up?
Yeah. I would have.
Okay.
I would have worked my way
So we're
toward.
running, and you're probably within a few arms reach of me, like you're maybe 15 or 20 feet away.
Yep.
So we're like crouched down and running, and I think Hannah gets snared on a root or something and just like trips and falls. Or maybe stumbles and kind of makes a lot of noise doing it. So,
So you get pretty far as you're doing this. You're probably about half a mile out when you finally have this happen. You just miss something on the ground. You catch your ankle on it. You kind of twist it as you're falling, and you end up like sliding on your stomach into the ground. But how is Chuck helping with that? So that might not be exactly what happens, depending on how Chuck prevented it from being as bad as it could have been.
So had caught up by the time she's about to fall, and as she's starting this fall, I grab the back of her jacket or her shirt or whatnot, and kind of am able to hold her up from preventing the fall,
Okay.
or maybe make it not as bad.
All right. So yeah, as your foot catches, you feel it kind of catch, twist, slide under, and you start falling. And right then, Chuck is able to like catch your elbow, pull you back right before you slam into a tree that was in the way of where you were going. And you still end up on the ground, but you didn't like slam your head into a tree. So,
Right. But
you
since
did
it's
make
a partial success,
yeah, you did
as
make a pretty
opposed to a
good
complete
distance.
failure.
And right, yeah, not a complete failure. You don't take any harm or anything. Um,
Oh, okay.
but basically, you were just trying to cover distance. You did do that. You didn't make as much as you could have, and you didn't take harm, and you ended up. Yeah, so you're at this point laying on the ground. Horace, as you're flying over, you suddenly see Hannah just like fall to the ground, and you see Chuck like diving towards her. What do any of you do? How do any of you react at this point?
Well, I'm a bird with big weird legs, so there's not much I can do.
Oh, you could always go down and see if she's okay, like longer term. You're not going to save her from falling at that point, but there are like you could react to it is all. Not saying you would, but you could.
We didn't get her flowers.
True.
What makes you think that we're gonna be,
Sorry, just like laughing at her.
ask if she's okay? They're a bunch of jerks.
All right, so you're laying in the ground on your stomach, pine needles kind of jabbing into your arms. What do you do?
Me? I think. Well, I probably yelped, maybe? Or made some noise, so I think I'm gonna sit up and just see if it seems like anybody's coming our way, like if anybody heard the commotion.
Okay. You sit up and do a read a bad situation.
Ooh, oh yeah, I forgot that was a thing. Read a bad situation, that is
Me
a
too.
sharp.
I wanted you to assess. I really need to get my system straight.
Oh, alright, partial success. Oh.
Okay.
I'm gonna need
So-
help, I can't read books right now. Like, my eyes are too...
So you get a hold one on read a bad situation. The questions that you can ask are. Yeah, that was with a 9 roll. The questions you can ask are interesting. What's my best way in? What's my best way out? Are there any dangers we haven't noticed? What's the biggest threat? What's most vulnerable to me? And what's the best way to protect the victims?
I guess this is kind of I mean, not way in, but I guess what's my best way in is probably the closest. Not so much into a place, but like maybe in the right direction.
Into what?
Like we're trying to find something, right? We're trying to find what was it, like evidence of some kind of foul play?
Or something. It could just be
Yeah.
someone falling down a cliff. But
Oh,
you're trying to find someone who disappeared.
okay.
And someone else who disappeared with a gunshot. So again, the questions. So you've got the one you just said, what's my best way in? There's what's my best way out? Are there any dangers we haven't noticed? What's the biggest threat? What's most vulnerable to me? And what's the best way to protect the victims?
Yeah. Actually, what's the biggest threat?
Okay.
Just making sure we haven't drawn any unwanted attention or something like that.
So as you pull yourself up, you kind of brush the pine needles off of you, and you look down, you sit up, You kind of turn over, sit up, and look down at your ankle. You're trying to probably assess to make sure you didn't break it or sprain it badly, which you didn't. It's kind of twisted, hurt a little bit. You pulled a tiny bit, but it's not like swelling or anything, so you're good. As you're looking at that, you notice that there's a little bit, like whatever you tripped on is still stuck onto the side of your foot a little. And as you push at it, you realize that it's a really sticky. It's almost like a line across the ground that's got a really sticky, tactile feel to it. And yeah, okay, that's a start. That's not the full answer to your question, but what do you do?
Play with me. Play with me.
Just a little white paw
I know
just coming up the side of the screen.
she's convinced that I'm talking to her, so she's just like, wait, no, I'm down here. I'm down here. Why are you talking up there?
Oh my god.
This is how I wake up too. She'll sit on my chest and on my neck and just like take her paw and turn my head constantly until I'm looking at her.
Alright, so I think that I'm gonna call Chuck over and be like, hey dude, hey,
Okay.
look at this. Now,
He's right there as you're doing that. He actually, Chuck, you see her as she's checking her ankle, then you see her start like touching the stuff that's there, and you notice it too at that point.
What does it look like? Is there a color to it? A texture?
It's fairly translucent. It's hard to see. It's got a lot of leaves stuck to it at this point. In the process of her
Like a
pulling
sap
it,
almost?
a ton of. It's not so much sap as you. Are you going to touch it? Like, how are you going to examine it?
Something like that, and just take it, touch it. You probably taste it too.
All right. So yeah, it's like a kind of sticky, stringy substance. It doesn't really seem like sap. It doesn't seem liquid. It seems like thread, like very, like it's kind of thick thread.
Okay.
But yeah, it's very sticky. As you touch it, it clings to you, and it's kind of hard to get it to come off your fingers. You push it off one finger, and it's on the other one. You push it off the other, it just keeps sticking to you.
Do I see any more around me, or is it just a small sample?
Hannah
It's-
makes a really grossed out face.
It's kind of a
Should I be-
long line to either side. You can't tell what it attaches to or if it's broke, but
Should I look up?
do you want to look up?
No, I'm good.
I
don't
get your
need to look up.
reference, but of course you're not going to look up. You don't know to look up yet. Do you look up?
So if it's a strand, could I follow it?
You could.
Okay, where does it lead me?
Just actually over to there's a tree. It's kind of got an anchor point on one set of roots on a tree nearby, and it basically just looks like it was strung from one tree to another in a long line between.
Is there any others that I see? Like, or is it just that one strand?
It's just that one strand that you see. I mean, unless you do a more thorough search, and even it is kind of, unless you're looking right at it, it's really hard to notice.
Is it magical?
How do you detect that? I
That's
guess
detect magic.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
I guess that's it. How are you trying to tell? What are you doing to see if it's magical?
Mm. I feel like that should be a basic magic ability. It's like if you can do magic, you can sense magic. Stuck in this like weird D&D Pathfinder brain.
But like, just ignoring the moves, what are you doing to try to detect it? You just think that you can passively sense it?
Well, yeah, like I'm like words and sigils and like boundaries and stuff is kind of my thing.
Mhm.
So like I think like would recognize like, right?
To some
Like, if
extent,
it-
yeah. If it's strong
yeah.
enough, you might be able to sense it, and if you are doing something actively to try to enhance your ability to sense magic at the time, then maybe. But right now, there's nothing just like screaming out that this is magic without actually doing something active to test.
Ow. Okay.
But you could actively try to determine in some way. Like you could like cast something to see if there is magic involved, or not even necessarily casting, but like you could use magic to try to sense. Or you could just investigate a mystery and like follow it that way. It's
Yeah, like I'm thinking maybe just using investigate a mystery, because it's sharp, which is just fine. Like it's a skill.
so what are you doing though? That's the big question.
I think I'm going to. I think I'm going to touch some of my tattoos that I, usually use for like creating barriers, or like wards or something. But instead of like making one, I'm using it to seek one. So I'm going to use, like, I know this is kind of just fudging combat magic, but can I do it that way? Or like instead of creating a barrier, or like I did in the basement, I'm sensing one.
Yeah, it wouldn't be combat magic though. It'd just be a use magic. But yes.
Yeah.
Or you
Right.
could basically doing the same thing and doing an investigative mystery that you're trying to get. It's either a use magic or an investigative mystery.
I'll do investigate a mystery.
And then investigative mystery just ends up meaning you're asking the specific questions. Okay,
Right.
10, that's pretty
So
good.
my investigation is basically like I'm kind of tracing a line. I'm sensing if there's been any kind of like incantation, because incantation isn't one thing that I can do, but it's not something I have to do. Yeah. What is it again?
What is what?
My 3 things. It was like tattoos,
Oh.
tattoo, touch, and incantation. I think
Yeah,
I only have to do
foci.
2.
Right, you have to,
Mhm.
sorry, it's, shoot, I missed it. Oh, foci, gestures, and incantations. So you have to have a thing that focuses it, you have to have a gesture that does it, and an incantation spoken verbally, and then you can choose 2 of those 3. Duty or advanced arcane training.
Right. So obviously I'm looking for foci, or looking to see if this is part of a kind of like foci construction. I think that the use magic element of it would be like observe another place or time. So like I could use that idea to like sort of observe when this was possibly made. So
Well, you're doing an investigative mystery, right?
right.
So you have what happened here,
right,
what
right,
sort
right.
of creature is it? You have a hold 2.
Yeah. So like what happened here?
Okay.
Obviously.
Alright, so
Or yeah.
you're
Or what is
specifically...
being concealed here?
Right, and
Yeah.
you're specifically asking this in context of magic, though. So, what happened here? As you try to get a sense of what this is, I mean, logically, you've got an idea just from your own perspective, but then, magically speaking, you try to detect something. You try to find out if there's some aspect of magic to this. If this is a magical whatever it is in any way. And at first, as you're trying to sense, you're bringing your tattoos together. You're bringing them around this line of gooey thread-like stuff, and you don't really at first think it's magic. But as you start giving up on the idea and just assuming that there's nothing, you realize that there is a faint trace of something. And as you focus on it, you try to kind of listen closer, like magically speaking. You really start trying to ignore everything around you, focus entirely on this, and you start kind of pulling it out, and you sense a faint trace of some type of fey magic. So the thing itself is not, but there's definitely a touch of magic related to this. What happened here? So it seems, so you're not entirely sure if that trace came from what put it here, or if the trace is how it got here, or what. But obviously, this was strung between these two trees. Either in it's a physical object, but it was either somehow created by magic or involved with magic in some way.
So, so I suspect maybe I found a foci then. Like maybe somebody else's foci.
Okay. And you do have a second hold, if you want to
Yeah.
use it.
Excuse me. Since I had this sort of sense of magic, I detected something. I think I might actually go with where did it go?
Okay.
Can I, now that I've sort of magically sniffed its scent, can I smell its trail?
Yeah, you do basically exactly that. You've already got kind of a feel for what it is you're looking for. You've got a trace of some type of fey magic. You haven't quite identified it. It's not strong enough to really tell exactly what it is, but it is strong enough to where you can use that and you attune your senses to that. And a little bit further up, like about 10 feet away, you kind of get a feeling that the ground around like in a kind of larger area, like maybe a 5 or so foot area, is somehow also infused with some type of fey magic.
Wait, so like in a radius around me?
Not around you. A little further in the direction you were heading, the ground, the pine needles seem to have a taste, a smell of the same. I don't really want to say taint because it doesn't really feel like that, but the same
Like
energy.
residue.
Yeah.
Residue is like leavings behind. Energy is more of like a vibe or a feel.
Right. And it's about 10, so it's basically a circle where the beginning of it starts about 10 feet from where you are, and it's about like a 5-foot diameter area of the forest floor that seems to have a similar residue as the string.
I think Hannah says to Chuck, like, dude, hold on. I think there's something like right here, and she kind of points to the area. Like, kind of like uses her hands to kind of do one of like, it's kind of like in this area right here.
So Horace, as they kind of be hanging around this area. So you've been flying, you circled a little bit above where they are, and you notice that they've stopped moving forward. Hannah had fallen, she got up, she started looking at the ground, and they've just been kind of loitering in this area. Do you continue just flying ahead, or do you stay above them, or do you head down, or what do you do?
First, I'm going to try and actually like fix my legs.
That's right. You still have those like gangly ass legs.
Yeah. So there, I pull my legs back up a little bit.
You're a normal
so
crow.
Yeah, I'm a normal crow, and I'm going to land on a tree limb fairly high up, a little ways, pretty much directly over them.
Okay. So Chuck, what are you doing?
Is Hannah up now, or is she still on the ground?
She was, I assume, up. Did you stand up, or did you
Yeah.
kind of stay like kneeling?
I stood up.
Okay.
Chuck's going to start walking in the direction that was pointed out.
Okay. So how far do you walk?
Not far, just like looking off in that direction, like 10, 15 steps.
10 or 15 steps? Okay. All right. Okay, so you start walking that direction. Roll a... Roll a read a bad situation.
How bad a situation am I reading?
You don't know. It depends on how well you roll.
I'm sharp. I'm gonna roll well. I'm good with sharp. There we go.
Yeah.
Another 12. A lot of 12s. Alright, so as you're walking, you get maybe 8 or so feet, kind of the direction that Hannah said, and as you're about to take another step, you have a hobo barks, and he barks again as you're stepping. Would you keep walking as that happened? Would you pause? How would you react if he
I'd pause. It'd be like in the movies or TV show when someone steps on a landmine, and then someone's like, "Wait, stop!" And then I'd have my foot like almost ready to leave, and about to blow up, and then I'd be like frozen.
Good. That's what I was assuming, but I didn't want to say that until that's actually what you do. Okay, so you stop dead as you're doing that, and he runs up, and he puts his nose to the ground right in front of your feet, sniffs, and starts kind of digging a little bit at an edge. And as you see him digging at it, you notice there's kind of like he's digging under a lip of something. Like the floor is here, but it's almost like there's like a little rock ledge or something that he's kind of pulling, separating. He's digging out a little hole, so it's showing the area where this part of the pine needles and this part of the pine needles are actually separating. What do you do?
Okay. Well, for my read bad situation, do I get holds?
Yeah, since you got to hold 3, yes.
Well, I guess that I'm going to say that what you just told me was, are there any dangers I haven't noticed?
Okay.
Because that would have been a danger I had noticed, right? What is the biggest threat?
Okay. Okay, so to get the answer to that, you'll need to be doing something. You're looking at this. What are you going to do as you're examining this thing? Whatever it is, like this area.
You said it's like the ground separating, right? Like
yeah, it's like there's a lip. It's like before it looked like even ground, but as he digs under, it's clear that there's kind of like an area. It looks like an edge of a plate or something that's there, and he's dug and separated it, so he's made it clear that there's actually a division. Although prior to him pulling them apart, it looked like it was exactly the same as the area around it.
I'm not picturing this exactly right. Would you say that it's like there's would you say a plate? Do you mean like it's just like looks like a rock or a piece of wood?
I mean, you only see the edge, but imagine if you took a discus or a plate or a frisbee or something, threw it onto a forest floor and covered it with pine needles. Right. And at that point it would look like it matched, but as soon as you started pushing the pine needles away from the edge, you would be able to tell that there was a distinct something on top of something else.
So then I'm going to do something that's stupid, but not totally stupid. I'm going to take a step back. I have my staff already out as a handle, right? I'm going to put it together and elongate it, and then I'm going to tap whatever it is that is. I'm going to set off the trap, basically.
Okay.
No one's heard about rocks, right? Like, you can throw them.
Why use your extremely rare, expensive specialty weapon when you can just throw a rock at it? That makes too much sense.
All right, so you do that, Hannah. As you see him walk forward and then just take out a step and start tapping at the ground. Chuck, as you tap in the area just past where that was, it hits the ground. Nothing explodes. Nothing shoots up. No nets fly out. Nothing crazy happens. But the sound, it sounds like you're tapping on a hollow container of some sort.
Bong bong.
Not metallic, more just like the side of a drum, not an actual. Like if you tap the side of the drum with the side of your fist, that kind of thump.
No explosions, no creatures jumping out, no.
Nope.
Then I guess I go walk up to it and clear it off to see what it is more closely.
Okay. Hannah, are you going to help, or are you just standing back and watching?
Yeah, sure, she's gonna help. Like, she's just gonna start, like, brushing away stuff around the edge to see what it is.
Okay. Hobo helps too. He just starts kind of digging at one side. You're brushing things away on one side. Hannah comes up and helps. Horace is sitting in a tree above you. You actually kind of can tell he's there, Hannah. You can kind of sense if you've been keeping a feel for where he is. And there's a crow sitting in a tree above you that you recognize as him. So you kind of all know you're all there. Well, I don't know if Chuck knows that, but everyone else knows where everyone is.
Yeah.
As you're brushing it away, a lot of the leaves just kind of stick in it, and as you're moving around, you realize that it's basically it seems like a layer of sticky threads that have been interwoven with debris from the forest floor to form a thick, kind of solid, flat plate. That's just
What
kind of
is it made
sitting.
out of?
It's mostly made out of the forest floor and a bunch of sticky, like semi-sticky residue.
More of the same goo.
Out of character, do y'all recognize what this is? Just out of curiosity. I almost feel like I shouldn't spoil it, but
No.
okay, right. Maybe I'll just keep it to myself then.
Yes. Yeah.
The only thing I could think of is if we're going down the spider route still, maybe it could be like something that's been cocooned or whatever for later consumption or something, but I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you do?
I don't know. We got a plate now. Put it in my
And
backpack.
Hannah, you do sense that this entire thing has the same type of infusion or residue, an energy residue that the string had. It's maybe a little stronger because there's more of it and thicker. Oh, my fuzzy.
Sorry, I'm muting myself a lot because I'm doing lots of sneezing and snuffling.
Yeah. Sorry, you look miserable, so I feel bad.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna ask if we can wrap at like 12 or 12:30.
That's fine.
Um,
This is what happens when you go to PAX.
I actually got this from my coworker.
Oh,
I
really?
survived PAX,
That's
so I
impressive.
could pick up something from my coworkers. Yeah, pretty pissed. Okay, so how big is this plate?
I mean, you haven't uncovered all of it. I'm basically telling you early on in this process when you finally realize that it kind of feels like a thick, that type of thing. But if the magic residue is any indication, it's maybe 5 to 6 feet diameter, circle-ish, roughly circle.
Can we move it? Is it big enough that we can just pick it up and see what's underneath?
You can try. I mean, there's a little lip, so you can definitely kind of get your fingers underneath and see.
Yeah. As soon as we start trying to lift it, I think Hobo's kind of like crawls underneath.
Or runs away. Chuck, are you helping, or is this just Hannah trying to lift?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So as you're digging, you both kind of maybe look at each other, agree, yeah, let's lift it. Okay. You slide your fingers underneath. It's pretty easy actually to slide your fingers underneath. It looks like it was made to kind of slot in place, but not be difficult to lift. But it is pretty heavy. Between the two of you, you're able to lift it, and you start lifting. And as you start lifting it, nothing happens. As you start lifting it, you basically get it about hip height, and you realize that under it it's dark. From your angle, you'd have to kind of go out of your way to see, but it looks like it looks like there's not just dirt right under it. There's just darkness.
Hannah clicks on her flashlight and shines it down the hole.
All right. So you kind of have to lift up a little bit as you're doing it just to see, but it looks like, yeah, this is basically a covering over a hole that is similarly about 5 feet in diameter, 5 to 6 feet roughly. It doesn't look perfectly carved round, but it's dug down, and it's hard to say exactly how far it goes, but you can see kind of maybe 6 to 7 feet going down and then kind of curving back a little bit to where you can't really tell if there's an end immediately in sight. There's no end immediately in sight, but you can only see about 6 to 7 feet down before it curves out of sight.
All right, looks like we're going down. And she says it kind of jovially, but she's obviously a little bit scared.
Before you do that, let me do one thing here. Boris is sitting up here on the branch watching all this. And something looks real familiar about this thing. You may remember that back at the beginning of this, Horace bought a guidebook on birds. And I'm going to do a shark roll to see if he can figure out what this is from the guidebook of birds. And that might be a long shot, but not necessarily.
You should have like a negative because on it because you can't talk to birds. You're not very good with birds. I'm joking. Don't take the negative.
Okay. Oh, let me transform back into a dude sitting on a tree branch.
The branch is too small and it breaks below.
Yeah.
I wish you had failed that roll, because you would have definitely been a dude not sitting on a branch.
I think that's what happens because I've got now there's a glitch or consequence. So like transform into it. It looks like the branch can hold my weight. And it's just like, and I fall down out of the tree.
Okay.
You look cool for exactly 2 seconds before you fall.
You catch enough branches heading down to where it's painful, but it doesn't actually do physical harm. You just have some scratches, and a few broken branches came along with you as you grabbed them, so you have a handful of tinder now as well.
Yeah, pulls a book out of one of his coat pockets, and does he find something that perhaps in the bird book that perhaps might resemble this hole that we're looking in? Perhaps some sort of bird predator that leaps out of holes to grab unsuspecting birds.
Let's see, was that 10? What was
That's
that 10 roll?
yeah.
On what?
On a investigate using
Investigate
my
mystery.
bird book. Yeah.
All right, so that's what you're doing. That was with the plus
right.
1. So you have 2 hold. Ask those 2 questions.
Yeah. It wasn't with a +1. That was just normal because I wasn't in a.
Oh, got it. Okay. So either way.
So yeah, what sort of creature is it? I guess would be the first question. And what is being concealed here would be the second question.
Yeah, so you definitely get the sense that this, I mean, between the sticky substance that you saw had kind of tripped Hannah up, and that you now see is making up this cover. You're also kind of feeling as you're doing it. It's slightly sticky. You see that it's kind of almost like it's set up to be camouflaged over a hole, and you recognize the substance in the hole as something that it's either in this book or something you just knew about. But yeah, you get the feeling that this is like a hole that was dug by, I mean, you're pretty sure they shouldn't be this size, but it seems like the hole of some sort of like a trapdoor spider or something. But
I'm picturing
again, these are usually about
in the book. Yeah.
These are usually about this big around, and they go about this far down. So
Yeah. I'm
So it might
picturing
not be
some
that.
horrific illustration in the book of a trapdoor spider grabbing a bird. Like predators of the bird. Maybe it's more elaborate title, but yeah.
And most of them aren't even big enough. There's some, like, it does mention that most trapdoor spiders are only big enough to get maybe large insects, but or especially smaller insects. But some in South America do grow to sizes to where they actually do predate birds.
There we go. Yeah. So I have this book open, like, hey, look, wait. Hold on. Does this look like something that we wanna do right now? Like, holds up the picture of the spider. Like,
So
I mean, are you guys going in there with this thing? I mean,
So I want to say Chuck just jumps down the hole, but
Yeah.
So you've got
I mean-
this thing lifted about. It's a little higher than hip height. It's maybe up to your solar plexus, and Hannah's leaned back, shining into it with the hole. Horse comes down, pulls out the book, points it out to you. What do you actually do?
like I know you've got on bug spray, but man, I don't know if it covers the size of that hole.
And I think Hannah's like, dude, if there was a giant spider in here, we probably would have seen it by now. I mean, like, those caves aren't that big.
And even if we haven't, we have to kill it, right?
Or feed
I mean,
it,
how
apparently.
else are we gonna get the golden claw? So.
So what do you do?
I think Hannah actually says, whatever evidence we're looking for, it's gonna be down this hole, so spider or not, we kinda need to figure out what's in here. And she kind of looks, she's trying to look brave, but she's not, as goth as she is, she's not actually keen on real ass, like scary ass spiders, so. Yeah.
do we have
that's
anything
kinda
that
what she
produces fire?
Got flares.
Do you still have a hold for us?
He does.
Oh,
hold.
I do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You use one
mean,
hold.
Investigate a mystery? Because my inclination is use fire, but you do have a hold. We could use the what can hurt it to maybe figure out what we could do to get taken care of it.
Yeah, let's do that then. What can hurt it? Let's- I don't know what the bird book is going to say about hurting a trapdoor spider, but maybe it has hints on how to eradicate them so the local bird population is safer. I don't know.
Maybe just a footnote on how these things are usually handled in reference to like birds.
Yeah. I mean, birds. Yeah, it doesn't really have. You're not going to get that answer from this book. I mean, you might be able to get that answer with something further, but the book itself. I mean, the typical way that a human might deal with these is to crush it under your heel. A bird that wasn't aware of it just doesn't put itself in a situation where it could be at risk. Like, doesn't go picking up the plates over these holes and checking out to see if anyone's inside, for example.
Fair.
All right. Tell you what. You got a crazy magic spear. You got crazy magic hands. I got knife. I'm gonna go find some fire because we're gonna
I
fight
got
those spiders.
knife.
There's not much that I can do.
Just for the record, there's
Other
no
than get
bars
eaten.
in the woods.
Oh.
Just so you
Right.
know.
Yeah. This is kind of becoming my go-to move, but yeah, like I'm gonna go. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is turn back into a bird. Which I'm actually going to do, and I'm gonna go look for a cabin, a ranger station.
Okay. And you have that map, so actually it's really easy to find one, so that's not a problem at all.
Oh, okay.
So, do flares actually have a fire in them or
Like-
on them when you light them?
They're
Yes.
magnesium, so like they have a chunk of metal basically that burns, and but
When
but
it's
I don't know if
exposed.
that's yeah.
But it does
Yeah,
burn
it's-
height and it does cause an ignition
Mhm.
point, so you can use it to start fires.
Hmm.
Kind of. It's yeah. It's both like very good at starting fires, but not like it's not like gasoline, right?
No.
Mhm.
It's
No. I mean, it's basically a
Well,
high temperature ignition point.
Mhm.
And if you can
Yeah.
use that to start a fire, then yes, it can start a fire.
Hmm.
But it's not going to dose. It's not going to be like napalm in any way.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Bug spray could be like napalm, though.
Especially if you spray bug spray over a flare.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh, let's get
Another-
creative.
Another arachnophobia reference.
I think I'm gonna. I think that's what I want to do. I think that's Hannah's master plan, because she's looking at the flare, and she's looking at what did you say, the bug spray?
Do you have bug
And-
spray?
Didn't he just say he had bug spray?
That was more of a joke.
He said
I-
bug
Okay,
spray
I
would
was-
work.
I was completely going off of him saying that just because it was along that line. But I don't know if we do.
I mean,
Okay.
you probably have bug spray, but it's like a little tube of bug spray that keeps mosquitoes off.
No,
Spiders just kind
I mean, you did say very specifically that you had bear spray.
yeah.
I don't think bear spray is flammable.
Yeah, I don't know. But if it has an accelerant, potentially that's I don't know. I have no idea. I've never actually used bear spray, so I don't know what it's like.
Oh, bear spray is actually a pepper spray.
Yeah. Just a very intense pepper spray. We just
Whether
fucking
the spray
pepper
is-
spray a giant spider. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do that.
Whether the spray is flammable depends on the solvent used in the aerosol.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, I bet bear spray would fuck up a spider. A giant spider.
Let's gamble.
Do spiders breathe?
Not exactly. They
Um,
do oxygenation through skin.
No,
Ooh.
they have lungs. They have spiracles.
Right.
That's basically spider lungs, right?
And
Spider
yeah,
lungs.
but it's handled through surface transfer of oxygen. Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, so I think I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna use combat magic, actually. And it's going to be force of wind. Force or wind. It's gonna be like a wind missile. So I'm gonna wind missile some bear spray into the tunnel. So basically she's gonna do like her little like and then spray the bear spray at the same time. So it just shoots down the tunnel.
Okay. So you're pepper spraying the darkness. Got it.
Yeah, what of it?
It's sort of like magic missile, so perfect.
Oh no. Oh no.
Would this be considered attacking a creature?
Potentially, depending on
So-
if you're actually attacking a creature.
Well, that's what I'm asking because it says when fighting a monster, I could help out and give an
Oh my
automatic
God.
10.
You guys, oh my god.
So if this classifies as fighting a creature, I make that a 7.
Yeah. No, it's a failure. So, how does
No
this
creature in
failure
there,
work?
yes.
Let me think. This was a use magic failure, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
Oh god.
so it doesn't work, but you also have. Oh yeah, I guess I make a move. So it just fails, and something bad will happen. I think. Okay, the MC sheet doesn't remind me what I do on a complete failure. It only has a 7 to 9. So
Hold on. Where's the book?
I am going to say that. So you were trying to cast a wind missile to propel bear spray down the tunnel, correct?
On a miss, you lose control of the magic. This never ends well. By
Yeah.
default, the magic has one of the effects listed below, lasts for around 30 minutes.
What?
So yeah.
Wait, I think I need
and
to
if
look
you-
at what you're looking at. Where do you see this?
Use magic.
In the book or the MC sheet? It must be the book, because I don't have it
The
on the
book.
MC sheet.
Page 106.
106.
Fuck. My sinuses are killing me. This is
Yeah.
gonna be it for me, I think.
Okay.
If you get a 10 plus, magic works, blah blah blah, 7, 8, 9, imperfectly. On a miss, you lose control of the magic.
Okay, so let me think about this. So on a miss, you lose control of the magic. This never ends well. Right. Okay, so
So since this takes me out of commission for 30 minutes, if you guys want to keep rolling on the game for another half hour, you can totally do that.
well, that's not really.
Yeah,
So
that-
on the part you're reading about the 30 minutes, that's by default. It has those effects and it lasts for 30 minutes. But on a miss, things go completely wild. It could be anything.
Got it.
So you're trying to do a wind missile. So
You
how
just
can that go?
You could just detonate the bear spray like right at ground level, where you.
I think I
would
know.
work.
Yeah. So here's what happens. So you start your spell, and you completely underestimate the power that you have. You're thinking more about how clever this is going to be, and you're trying to just funnel some air into this, but you misjudge exactly how you connect the runes, and you misjudge maybe how much of your essence you push into it, and you end up pushing a lot more than you expect. As you're spraying the spray, the wind that shoots out, the wind that you form, I don't know if it's coming from your hand or if it's coming from, like, I don't know where it's coming from exactly, but it catches the entire thing of bear spray, yanks it out of your hand, it flies down into the darkness, and then the air that you were using to push, it starts, like, you put so much, it starts to push back. So you're getting kind of like wind flying back out of the hole, wind going into the hole, and then the wind that you're pushing into it, as you start losing control, the power just starts flowing through you. The wind starts becoming so strong, it's almost solid. You're literally doing wind missiles. And it ruptures the bear spray canister, and you hear essentially. It doesn't catch fire because you didn't have any point of ignition, right?
Right.
Correct.
But there's a huge explosion. I mean, I don't know if you've ever shot a full aerosol can or put it in fire and had it explode or anything, but it's pretty impressive. So you're like immediately the top flies off and blows into pieces. The top of the plate that was over the top of it, it just shatters. There's debris flying everywhere. The whole like dirt comes flying out. You can't hear anything for a few seconds. You just hear it's so loud, and the concussion like almost knocks you back. You feel it in your chest, and yeah. So that's a pretty loud noise. That's gonna get some attention, and
Yep.
half a mile away, like all these there's this big thoof, and all these birds come flying up out of the forest, and Horace is like, "What the hell?" And he
Yeah.
keeps flying on.
Oh, you were right there. You were right there with them. Remember?
Oh, was I? Well, I'd already turned into a bird and was flying
Oh.
off.
I thought you were still holding
But-
the book, and then she's like, whatever.
No, I
Okay.
turned back. Yeah.
All right. So yep, Horace, you do the bird equivalent of a face palm, and Chuck and Hannah, you're not you don't flung back or anything, but you're kind of voluntarily take a step or two back because of just the force of the explosion as well as the wind that's there. And yeah, for a second, if you try talking to each other, you're just moving lips, and all you hear is the ringing in your ears. And then as you stand there for a few seconds, it starts raining little pine needles and dirt debris, and yeah.
Isn't it like
Then
bear
yes.
spray particles too? Like, isn't this awful?
Oh yeah. There's also some. It's pretty painful. Like as you breathe it and as you get it in your eyes, you start just getting the stinging sensation because that stuff's strong, and you just release an entire canister of it. I don't know how big the canister was. I'm envisioning a small travel size one, but if it's like a
Yeah.
full size, it would be even worse.
No, they're all little like keychain style
Okay.
bear spray.
Yeah,
Like,
so
it's,
good.
Like,
That's what I was-
One-time use kind of thing. Yeah.
A full size aerosol can would have been pretty bad. That would have been rough. So yeah, your eyes are stinging, your nose, your lungs are burning. You basically just pepper sprayed yourself. And I don't know if you've ever done that for real, but that's not much fun.
No.
I've
Um,
I've done it by accidentally wiping my eyes after cutting a
Oh.
jalapeno.
Yeah, that's bad too. It's not as bad as pepper spray because I've done that as well, but that's also really bad. Pepper spray is worse. All right. We could stop there so I can figure out exactly how bad a loud noise like that is. On the plus side, no spider came flying out. And there were no spider parts flying down. So
that's what I was worried about. So thank you.
They couldn't. They can't be though, because I could have used my help out.
right.
By not being able to use the help out meant that there was no spider there.
But you don't know that. Chuck has no idea that's
I
true.
don't know that. No, Chuck doesn't know that. But I know that.
Right. Right. You don't know how deep this tunnel is. It might be a tunnel that actually goes far, or it might be a tunnel that ends right there. You don't know.
I
But
don't know.
or maybe you do know. You can assume. You don't know for sure, one way or the other. So maybe there is a spider down there, and it just wasn't close enough.
Oh God, no! There's no way. Not anymore.